Welcome, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is the grand finals of EMEA Open Division. I am Simbabble, joined here by Altruism, and what a banger. We've got these two teams already having faced off earlier yesterday. You're going to fill us in on the bad blood between these two teams.
Bad blood is one way to put it. It's probably the most tame way to put the rivalry between these two teams. These guys face off. I mean, O2 Esports used to be called Avoided, most of their roster anyway, and they changed their name just to meme on O1 Esports here. They're coming in here with a lot to prove. O2 didn't manage to show up yesterday when they came up against them in the winner bracket finals. We saw O1 managing to take that 4-1. And so quite a definitive showing here from O1 Esports. They're going to be looking to take it all the way and get that extra little bit of prize money. Remember, both of these teams have already qualified for the Trials Contenders. And so it really is more just a point of pride for these two. Yeah, there's an extra $500 up for grabs for the winning team. But when it comes to the face-off, I think this is going to be intense. We've seen it in chat already.
Yeah, I think you're right as well. Like, there is extra money on the line, but realistically, it does seem like these two teams just want to one-up each other. It really does seem like this map doesn't really matter as far as the money's concerned. It doesn't matter, we know, as far as the contenders trial spots. It really is just who is going to get the map victories for bragging rights alone over the opposing team. O2, like you said, Avoided. They have so many accolades, but it's O1 Esports who come into this series with a map advantage, having qualified with that winner's bracket. So they're going into this best of 7 series with a map advantage as we do head to Oasis first, Alt. And I mean, do any of these teams have an advantage coming in, or are we just going all in on the O1 Esports domination?
I think the big thing comes that when you look at the way these two teams set themselves up, O1 loves to play. They're both pretty much one-trick teams. O1, though, has the slight advantage where the way that they execute, the entire game plan of theirs is we're going to choose who we're going to go on, and then they jump that person all at the same time. You've got Goku, who loves the Pharah, who's able to throw in that damage. Yubi and Apples then come in with the Tracer and Wrecking Ball and lay out such a consistent fire onto the support line of O2 that they just tear it apart in the back line and then win it out by just damage everyone that no one's able to really heal it up. Today, though, we do have a little bit of a swap up. We're going to be bringing in Lightbringer versus Abs from yesterday. And so taking out that Moira from the beginning of the game means that they're going to have a little bit more survivability. Kaiser going back onto that Sombra that did a lot of work and be able to shut down someone like Apples in the back line. And it's going to be interesting to see. Versgod, also a very proficient player there that can threaten the Pharah in the air. And you see Goku already into the air spamming out damage.
Yeah, well, that's going to be something very difficult to deal with, this Pharah Mercy up in the sky, unless they can just jump on top of them. And indeed, they do like bringing the first one to go down. And missing a Moira in this comp really going to hurt O2 as O1 really dominating the skies with the Pharah Mercy. Goku getting involved, but not getting those final blows, just being a nuisance and forcing the hand of the Diva on Special to get something done. And unfortunately, they do get demeched. And that's going to be a pretty convincing first cap for O1.
And that's the entire breakdown of this O1 lineup. They target Lightbringer straight away, realizing this is where all your burst healing is going to be coming through. This Moira is the one that you need to start it. And granted, Moira is not always the easiest person to track down at the beginning of a fight, but they do no mistakes just yet. Yubi's already built up to that pulse bomb. Goku nearly up on that. And again, Lightbringer falling at the beginning of the fight.
The one clip from Yubi in the back, just that rogue double damage there for the backstab, gets that final blow, as does Goku, getting involved themselves. That Pharah still unanswered so far. A pulse bomb thrown in for good measure does go wide from Yubi, but it doesn't look all to be too impactful. Goku still going in with those direct rockets, taking out Cool Boy as Kaiser goes off the edge. They've got to restart and come up with something. We're on 45% on the point ult, and Lightbringer is only 60% to a coalescence. This Moira is not getting anything done.
And if you just look at the ultimate advantage coming out already from O1, we saw one doing such an amazing job yesterday of being able to get those sound barriers in time as we see them just making more of an aggressive push.
Such an aggressive play. The beat comes through as well. This engage, they want to go in. They are setting their sights on Lightbringer and making their life absolute hell here. The DPS from O1 Esports with complete control of Oasis so far. 68% on the point as Apples gets that pile driver onto Verse, and this is looking dicey now for O2.
Oh, hugely. And you consider that Kaiser is going to be the pivotal ultimate, that EMP should be there to shut down, and they're the last person on the team that's going to be able to get to this ultimate. It's going to be O2. They've got basically one more attempt to try and get this in.
Yeah, they just pop all the ultimates, self-destruct over the top. It does find Yobi, so that's an opening, and the point is, in fact, flipped over. O1 Esports choosing to fight this nonetheless, forces the coalescence out from Lightbringer, and he's so low, the barrage brings him on down. Goku, such a threat forever as Yobi coming back with that pulse bomb. Apples will fall, and this is a little scrappier than what O1 have showed us in the past, but no one is looking at Goku. They're setting their sights on the Mercy, and eventually Levitate will fall, but Goku's just chunked in so much damage. This point's still contested as well, and the tanks are trying to deal with the Pharah not contesting the point, and the Diva will fall. Yobi's back on the point as well now and is just wreaking havoc. Coolboy with that beat will fall and will not have that online. The EMP forced out from Kaiser now, as well as 3 will be targeting Goku so low here, not going down though. There's no finishing power, and in fact it's O1 Esports who are finding the picks. Apples gets 2, and surely this is the end now. It's got to be a desperate stall coming out here, Alt.
And there you see the stall came out, and yeah, it managed to get them up 44%, but they had to drop the EMP into that. What is their now ability to come back into this fight? They have really no win conditions that they can utilize, and they're running into Apples dropping in that minefield. And as the overtime ticks down, it seems to be O1 leading our charge straight away from the first moment to be able to take this in.
That was dominant, in Yubi with the pulse bomb for good measure right there at the end. My goodness, that was dominant. I mean, we kept saying it, but the Moira Light couldn't get anything done. I mean, it was such a slow build on the Coalescence, and it's not because Lightbringer was playing the Moira poorly. I think as soon as Fade was forced out, Goku and Yobi were jumping on top of the Moira because they knew that sort of brawl with dive tank composition couldn't operate without that Moira. It was so devastating, and I mean, yeah, that was an incredible showing from O1, if you ask me, Alt.
Yeah, this is what I expect to see the whole day. And if you consider Moira's entire strength is that Fade, with one rocket from Goku, that's pretty much it. You got to get out of there. As soon as Goku turns the sight onto Lightbringer there, Lightbringer is going to take one shot, try get out of the damage, and then you've got so much mobility from the rest of O1. You've got Yubi on the trace, you got Apples on that Wrecking Ball, Imo going to be coming through there with the Diva. All of these people know what their target is, and this is what O1 really, really excels at, is the fact that they're able to just prioritize that. And even at the end of the fight, yeah, sure, you've got 2 tanks left. I'm Special and Tractor Kid going to be trying to do a lot of work, but they've got to now choose between, do they take out the Mercy, who's staying alive for so long, or do they try to take out Goku? Goku doesn't really need the Mercy to be able to still do a huge amount of damage. It's just that extra little buff. And between the two of them, they're really controlling every part of this map.
Yeah, and with the time to kill on Levitate so high as well, it was just disastrous that Goku got so much free reign as they were focusing down the Mercy. The aim of the game looks to be the same as well here for O1, and they're just better at hounding down the supports. Lightbringer falls first again, and then the dominoes just come crumbling down around them as Goku and Apples go to town. There's so little healing for the side of O1 as well. They know that their window of opportunity with the Lucio and Mercy is so very finite. If they don't find a frag very, very quickly, the Mercy and Lucio healing is not sustainable enough, but they get it done so quickly.
Yeah, you can see this desperate attempt now. Kaiser going to be swapping out onto that McCree, just trying to put in a little bit more sustain, but a little bit more damage and threat into this air here. The recall going to be forced out at the beginning of the fight. And is this McCree even going to be enough? As we see instantly a dive in. Wow.
The pile driver with the concussive blast to get Goku within range for that direct rocket straight between the eyes of Kaiser. That is devastating as Levitate, in fact, does go down. So we're seeing a 5v5, but Goku still free as a bird. Nobody clipping his wings anytime soon. And O2 know that they've got to back off, and they're going to do just that. They're holding the choke for now, and there is a baby Diva lurking around the point. One maybe oversteps themselves as Verse will finish them off. Forces the minefields onto the point, and O2 look like they could potentially turn this round. The problem is Levitate's back in the fight, which means Goku's back at full strength here and contested again. So it's just hovering over the point, making it so very difficult to deal with. Self-destruct now coming out as well from Imo just for that quick remac as Lightbringer will fall. Barrage over the top just for good measure. There is Yobi, the one who's actually getting 3 final blows this fight. Goku getting involved as well. This is quite dominant now.
Man, Goku managed to predict where that recall was going to come out, and there was already a rocket flying into the face of Versguard there. And this is the secret, is you saw Goku and Levitate sitting on the back line, clearing up anyone who's trying to push forward from O2, and then the two tanks, Apples and Imo, just sitting on the front line, being so sustained, the sleep comes out at the beginning.
Apples just gets a kill from absolutely nothing. The pulse bomb comes in from Yobi as well, and it's a very desperate self-destruct now in the final moments of Oasis, but it's all coming up 0-1 Esports. Looking dandy and rosy, and Apples with that breakdance celebratory victory. He shoots himself into Versguard, 99% on the point. It's not even a touch coming out from O2, and 0-1 really starting this series with a strong message.
Apple doesn't fall far from the team in this stage, with them just being able to, just set stuff up in the back line, being able to use that pile driver to just control up so many people in the back line. And I mean, look how this comes in. You see here, Yubi, Apples, and Imo just sitting in the front line and causing damage. I mean, they're going 3 people into the 5-man back line of the O2 Esports side. We just see there, Yubi and Imo being able to come through 60% kill participation on the Tracer. Ooh. That's what this 0-1 lineup is all about. Split up the enemy team, use that burst damage from the Pharah, and then clean up whatever's left with the Wrecking Ball and the Tracer.
Yeah, is there something to be said here, Alt, for O2 playing an anti-dive composition, playing what we're seeing a lot in Overwatch League at the moment when they're seeing the Orisa, the D.Va, the Torbjorn, McCree, the Brig, the BAP? Is there something to be said for that? I know that it's not their style, O2, and I know that they're already through. So are they really not that bothered, or are they still trying to force their game plan? Like, if you're inside the comms of O2 Esport right now, what are they saying?
I must admit, when it comes to the team comps, you would typically say for a team, guys, this is not working. What is their strengths? We need to swap up the comp to something that's going to work. But that has not been the story of O2. O2 in this entire competition have relied on their own ability to dictate the pace of the game and the way that the team plays around each other. They've relied on PvPX and the Junkrat, the Torbjorn, something like that. PvP, of course, not in this specific game here, but the roster is pretty locked from O2. And so while we can sit and hypothesize about how we want them to change it up, I don't see them really wanting to, and it might actually come back, and their pride might be the hubris that costs them this game, and in fact, this entire tournament.
It could be, and we're talking a lot about the shortcomings of O2 here, but let's just talk about 0-1 again. I mean, they were so dominant. Not only were O2 really struggling to shut down Goku, who looked really strong on that Pharah, by the way, Yubi as well on the Tracer just went unchecked all game long. He was popping off and finding doubles, triples, quadruple kills every team fight. It was absolutely absurd. Is that just on individual DPS performance, or was that a proper team effort?
I've got to say that comes down to a team effort. I mean, you look at O2 and what their win condition is. Who do they jump on? Who is their target that they're trying to shut down? They've got Goku, who's doing all the damage, and yes, you'd like to shut that down, but Levitate's doing such a good job of keeping them alive that you've got to now maybe focus the Mercy first. But then you've got Goku and Levitate playing so far away from where the actual danger's coming in from O2 Esports. O2 is being controlled up. The tank lineup that we said, Apples and Imo, just controlling where O2 is able to actually play, that you can't get a synergized enough attack onto this real big burst damage from Goku that 0-1 is able to split the fights up, control where they want to play, and that comes down to everyone. And the fact that they've got such mechanical prowess to be able to follow up and then utilize that extra bit of space means that O2 really doesn't have an answer right now, and it's difficult to even think about where their answer is going to come from.
It really is. And let's just talk as well about Light and how much of a problem Lightbringer had staying in that fight as the Moira, staying in that map as the Moira. In fact, I think we only saw one coalescence, which is absurd. And again, we highlighted it's not necessarily that Lightbringer themselves weren't playing as they were perhaps supposed to. It was more that 0-1 Esports were just completely shutting down the Moira. As soon as that fade came through, they knew that was the go button. So like, what do you do if you're the Moira in that situation? Do you swap it up? Do you play a Brigitte? Do you play Brig Lucio? Like, what do you do? I mean, we did see a swap over to the Mercy. Is that the swap, or is it don't fade as early? Like, how do you stop this onslaught from O1? Because they have been absolutely non-stop.
I mean, you hit it on the nail on the head there. What heroes are actually able to sustain through that? I mean, Moira is probably the most survivable out of all of your supports, and still getting shut down. We are going to see Lightbringer just take a break there. Maybe that was a little bit too much. Abs is going to be back in. Abs has played the Baptiste, and again, you got a little bit more sustain there. The Immortality field, you drop it down at the beginning as soon as they dive on you, and it buys you a couple of seconds. But there's been such good prioritization again from O1 to be able to take out that Immortality field, and with such a long cooldown, it's not something you can reliably count on to keep your team alive. You just go, okay, we bought ourselves 3 seconds, but in those 3 seconds, you're going to be going, okay, now we got to do something with that. We got to be able to shut down someone. We got to be able to get the key picks. And Versgard and Kaiser, trying valiantly as the DPS, are just not able to match up to that pace. And so while we go on to Route 66 now, probably O2 Esports' favorite map, they managed to take this one actually out. The one game they won yesterday was a full held against O1 there. And so if ever there was a time to see O2 try and pull something out, to be able to turn this competition around, this is the map to do it on.
It certainly is, and it's worth reminding everyone that O1 Esports come into this series 1-0 up. So after their victory on Oasis, they are now 2-0 up, and they only need 4 maps to win this whole series, and indeed, open division. So pressure really is on for O2, who have so many veteran talents on their roster to prove themselves against O1 now, who have looked absolutely like there are no brakes on this train at the moment. O2, this might pressure O1, however, because these long sight lines might not favor Goku on the Pharaoh, although it does look like that's what we're seeing him load into the lobby as. And Yobi on the Tracer, if you're O1, do you just stick to if it ain't broke, don't fix it ult?
There's been not a team in this competition that's been able to threaten this team comp before, and I would be surprised to see them ever swap up this team composition because it's just working so effectively. I do like the fact that O2 is looking for something like Versgard on the Hanzo. I'd even like to see a Widowmaker if you're going to try that. We've seen Arm Special, if they do keep this current roster locked in there, Arm Special coming on the favored Roadhog. Maybe the Hook, maybe the Storm Arrows, something like that is going to be able to just chew through and find a little bit of an opening here for O2. And credit where credit's due, O2 have actually dominated pretty much every other team in this competition. They went down to low bracket, took 3-0 there. They took out Danish Kebab 3-0. These are the other teams that you really would consider. And still, O1 make it look like O2's not doing anything.
Yeah, but you can just see O1 taking the initiative there. The pile driver comes in from Apples. I know getting very low there. Maybe overstepping themselves, barely gets away with the mech. Perhaps they weren't expecting the Roadhog here, which is certainly an interesting pick. It brings a much more team deathmatch style of battle, and indeed the Hook lands there and takes out Yobi, the 2 DPS, now missing for O1. And this whole form composition, it's certainly unorthodox, but it's getting the job done.
And there we go. That was the pick that I was talking about at the beginning. Versgard managed to take out Goku at the beginning of that fight. Just got the headshot, just that burst damage, being able to counter out the Pharah. It's when you got so much space to fly around the air, Goku's going to wreak havoc. If you now bait out Goku into a bad position and they're not able to just lay down that covering fire and be able to then put that back in, this is the opportunity. And you can see Versgard straight away looking for that priority, wanting to get the hits onto Goku, and even being able to shut down someone like Apples or Imo into the backline with a quick chew through. We are going to see Imo at the beginning of the fight, and this is how O2's going to do this.
So I'm Special just lands that hook and nobody can get on the point as both tanks go down in a second there. The Roadhog really proving difficult as he's setting his sights on Special on Imo every single time, going for that Diva mech to make sure that there's no protection in the skies for Goku. We've already seen one swap over to the Ana as well, so we've not got the Lucio to speed boost anyone around, as Yubi swapping over to the Ashe as well. The Valkyrie and the Nano online, so are we just going to see Nano Barrage?
I've actually seen Goku get the nano boost completely without the barrage, because we were talking about it yesterday. You got a damage boost from the Mercy, you got a nano boost, your rockets are doing 200 damage apiece, and you see it there already taking out Versgard.
That's without them even using the nano as well.
Yeah.
Like they've got position, and this is where it's going to be really difficult to dislodge this Pharah Mercy. This defensive hold that they've got, unless you land a hook like that from I'm Special. I've cast a cursed it, and Goku falls to the clean hook of I'm Special. Opens this second point wide now as Imo in a little bit of trouble here. The hook is set on him, and he goes very, very low indeed. The D-Mech does come through. Apples has this mines ready to go, and he does drop them down, but trades his life out for it. The burst damage of the Hanzo and the Roadhog added together is proving far too difficult to deal with at the moment.
Oh, I love to see this. This is the way we're going to be playing it out. This Roadhog and Hanzo are going to make the difference. If anything would for the side of O2, this is going to make it.
Yeah, I'm Special uses the whole hog there, but will trade himself out to a Dynamite of all things of Yubi. Nearly got this Bob online, but the EMP is so good from Kaiser there. He finds 4, and that is devastating now for O1 as the Bionade comes over the top as well. O1 finally getting involved and clapping back. Apples will fall, and this is so scrappy. Like I said, both these compositions operate in such a team deathmatch style of Overwatch that it's so impossible to tell who comes out on top until all the dust settles. The payload is still moving, so O2 are doing their job at the moment, but Bob's going to try and put a stop to that momentarily, sends him into the backline. Tractor Kid, in fact, gets that nano on top of him. The Wrecking Ball of all things going to go into enemy territory now. Has that anti-nade on top of him, and it's big peel there. The hook lands onto Yubi, but the defense matrix is good as this self-destruct is ready to go. But once again, it only takes a second, and everyone's forgotten about Goku. He's in the skies, and he takes out one of the hit scans. Apples falls in contention to that, but Goku's feeling the heat now, and he's got to get out of the kitchen. Mercy, oh so low here. Levitate almost has this Valkyrie online, could turn the tides of this battle in their favor. It looks as though they just about have, as O1 holding on to this by the skin of their teeth. Ult.
Oh, I love this. This positioning from O1 on this high ground is allowing them to at least stay alive, but we do see the corral coming out so far from O2. They're trying to make something work, but they're slowly losing people here at the beginning of this fight. Still O1 looking pretty healthy, just hiding around the backside of the saloon here, and so far it is going to be them stalling it out just at the end of this fight.
It's just about doable, but when all was said and done, Tractor Kid finds 2 kills. Unbelievable. Cool Boy on this Anna's in such a good position now as Tractor Kid goes to work again. Can anybody get onto the payload? It's just about Levitate, but he gets absolutely obliterated when he goes for that contest. It forces everyone from O1 away, and O2 starting to find some signs of life here. That was so well played from them, but such a long fight.
And this is something that we saw from both of these teams. They don't want to let it go. You can imagine with 2 people left from either of these sides versus an insurmountable odds, they're still going to want to stick around and try and fight this out, even pushing super aggressively at the beginning of this and forcing out the Bob.
Uh-oh. I'm Special does fall though, so maybe getting a little too heavy-handed as he pushes up for that advantage. It's good aggression, but he gets very punished. And Kaiser, you can see here, goes for the EMP, finds 3, the Pharah, the Mercy, and the Ashe now all in trouble as that remech comes on through. The Deadeye from Verscore picking up 1 as well, I think on the flank. Looked incredible and finds the kill. Levitate nonetheless will be able to resurrect that up on out as Goku's now deep in there and right in the faces of his opponents. He's going to do so much damage with this barrage. He finds 2 and the D-Mech. The baby Diva's not long for this world either, and looks like O1 have finally got a foothold on this 3rd point, but it's still so scrappy.
The payload keeps moving though at this stage. I mean, yes, O1 has managed to stabilize this, but they are getting pushed so hard. You can see Apples having to swap off that Wrecking Ball now goes onto the Orisa to try and just give them a place to stand and fight here as O2 constantly pushes in.
Minefield's down here over this truck and the Mega Health Pack. Apples gonna get hacked up there. The Orisa, perhaps not the best target for it, but Yogi will fall. Minefield causing devastation again from Tractor Kid, who's looked really good on this Wrecking Ball. The Nano was applied to Goku as well as Levitate takes that Minefield to the face again. The Mercy will fall. Numbers really dwindling now for the defense. Alone Orisa stands and she can't quite get to the point on time. The High Noon gonna make sure of that as the D-Mech comes through. The defense matrix wasn't there due to the hack, and now O2 really feeling themselves. They get involved and they work as a team and they get the job done. Goku desperately kicking back against this onslaught, but he will fall down, and a minute 15 is what O2 have got to work with.
Yeah, O2 is looking strong today. This change-up, they've sat the whole night thinking about how they're going to pick apart this 0-1 composition, and yesterday they didn't manage to get the full clear on this. They got really close to the end of Route 66 when they did their first attack, and then they came out on the defense, completely full held it, and I definitely think that's going to be the strongest point. We saw it yesterday. If they want to really win this out comfortably, they want to try to get a full hold here, but giving themselves even a little bit of time in the bank there, you saw it, just pushing forward aggressive, never letting 0-1 get into a position where they looked comfortable, forcing the changes out there at the end there. I mean, UB having to swap off that Tracer, going onto the Ash just to try and contest it as well. O2 have found something that's going to work. I'm Special and Versgod, the two of them working together, whether Versgod was on the Hanzo or then swapping late onto the McCree, they were just able to really shut down this dictating of pace at least, that 0-1 was utilizing to their effectiveness. And I mean, Kaiser was even building up those EMPs and getting huge value of them every time.
Yeah, it was really devastating, actually. And I was just going to say, Kaiser was the last one to select a hero here. I was going to ask you if you think the Sombra is good. I think that was a phenomenal pick. It shuts down Apples. It pressures out Goku and Levitate in the sky as well, because the EMP just sends them to ground. And they're so vulnerable when that happens. You'll be back on the Tracer, though, and it seems like a comfort pick for them. They were decent on the Ash, but Tracer was really where they thrived. I mean, yeah, how long are you allowed to stay on this Tracer?
Well, when you're going into something like the Sombra, if you get hacked up, you're dead. If you get hooked, you're dead. If you get flashbanged, you're dead. There's so much control for a Tracer in this game that it's going to be very difficult, and that's kind of the problem with this incredibly mobile team comp that 0-1 is trying to favor.
Well, here we go. The Wrecking Ball comes in, hacked, flashbanged, and he is just gone ski. Apple's completely deleted off of this world. It forces the immortality field, and Abs, in fact, steps away from his own, so Yubi gets the finishing punch to the back of the head. One, however, will fall, and I'm Special, who, like you said, has been so good on this Roadhog. He's finding the pressure, and on this high ground is so scary. Levitate will fall there and leaves Goku off an edge without his Mercy compadre, and he's so low HP. I'm Special just going to finish him on off, and this payload's halted very close to the spawn doors.
I love this, the corralling that's coming out here from O2. They're dictating where Goku and Levitate are allowed to fly, holding around the side, and then they push forward aggressively with someone like Tractor Kid to be able to push them out and create pressure even behind cover. And then they've got Special just waiting there super patiently with that hook, and anyone who pokes out is going to die.
Yeah, it's forced Yubi onto the peripheries here, hunting down Versgod on the McCree, throws the Pulse Bomb, and the Immortality Field forced out, but no stick in sight for Yubi, so he's got to go back to the drawing board. It's in fact Apples who falls there to Versgod, who staved off all the pressure applied onto him with the aid of his tanks to peel for him. I'm Special didn't get the memo, though, and stayed on that payload, so he's a little bit separated from the pack and in a little bit of trouble. Abs, however, clapping this back and takes out Levitate, such an important pick, as he's got the pocket of his career coming from Cool Boy there. He will eventually fall in the Nano is thrown on top of Goku. Surely now the defensive dominoes will fall as 0-1 Esports drop the Nano and the Barrage to secure that fight, but it was a costly one.
That was actually, I think, maybe too costly for them. They were winning that fight already. They didn't really need the nano boost. Goku had already got so many people around them that they were able to work with. They may have really wanted to keep hold of those. They're only going to have a couple of ultimates left now, and especially when Imo's going to go down at the beginning of the fight like this.
Yeah, I'm Special taking a nap, though. That's going to slow it down ever so slightly. The Nano on top of Versgod, Electric Cowboy coming out. Doesn't get all that much done. He went for the High Noon, and the EMP comes out from Kaiser and whiffs. I can't see anyone who got caught by it. 0-1 having a complete free pass at this team fight that should not have gone their way. Disaster strikes for O2 Esports, and 0-1 just roll the cart in.
How do you lose that fight as O2 when you've got such an ultimate advantage? You've got such powerful ultimates as well. I mean, they used the EMP there, and it was just a little bit too far forward that no one was able to force to follow up. You saw Special having to charge forward on the Roadhog, and then instantly when you've got 4 people around you, you're going, hang on, that take a breather is not going to give me enough to stay alive, and 0-1 just carries on running forwards.
Yeah, they really do, and as you said, they are running forward. They are full-on sprinting ahead. We can see Goku on this high ground again. It's just going to make it an absolute nightmare for the defense to now get a foothold in this team fight. O2 are just really going to struggle to get anything done because Goku and Apples are all on this high ground. Imo will get hooked from I'm Special here, but he gets anti-naded. He just gets completely blown up. The anti-nade is so good from one. He's ready. Hack onto Imo, but it doesn't do a damn thing when you're not getting frags off the back of those hacks. And now ultimates in absolute abundance for O1 Esports. This looks like this could be final fight for second point.
Yeah, I must admit, when you're looking at the ult disadvantage that O2's under here, you would have really liked to see them group up, just be able to pull out a couple of those ultimates. You're almost certainly not going to take it, but when you've got the payload that's less than halfway through the point, you've got that chance, as we see again, O1 just coming forwards with everything that they've got.
Tail as old as time, the nano barrage comes through, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and Goku's got no intention of changing the script anytime soon. They're getting it done. A pulse bomb from Yubi opens that one up, and Goku's free as anything to go for that barrage. Look at the time bank they're working with, and bear in mind, this is O2's map pick.
That should not, that entire second phase was pretty much lost resources for the side of O2. They didn't have the ultimates, they needed to try bait out a couple, and the great ultimate cycling from O1 has allowed them even more resources now between both of those tank ultimates, and they nearly got that Valkyrie up as well. They've got a lot to work with. However, this is where O2 need to stabilize. Join up together, use that EMP, and set up a fight that they can win right now.
Here's EMP, comes through, it only catches two, but it might be good enough if they can finish off one, and they do just that. Tracer bothering Verse in the backline now as the minefield again from Tractor. They've been the only reliable thing for O2 at the moment, certainly has been a bumpy ride for the defense, but they've managed to weather this storm and have slowed this payload down, and this is where, in fact, it's gonna be difficult for O1 to take map control with the payload at this choke point.
Finally, we see O2 just being able to stabilize. They didn't even drop that many ults into that. They've still got the nano boost when Cool Boy comes back online, of course. They just used the EMP to set themselves up, and now they're wanting to take a fight out in the open.
Yeah, well, look at this as well, but they want to take a fight in the open, and the aggression is good from O2, but it gets completely punished from O1, who have spotted a weakness in the armor, and they've just barreled on forward. Yubi goes down, but he gets resurrected up, and look at the pace, the transcendence, the nano transcendence, disaster strikes for Cool Boy and Abs, a complete lapse in communication, a missed cue if I've ever seen one, and it's all coming apart for O2. Yubi finds the pick, the whole lot comes out from I'm Special to try and turn this fight on a dime, and it just doesn't happen as Apples goes wild and finds 3 final blows. Yubi's having a field day now as he hunts down the translocated Sombra, who's close to the EMP, and there's not much to work with here.
Oh, a desperate attempt with the minefield and the High Noon to start us off. The High Noon gets a lot though.
High Noon finding 2, and a minefield kill onto Yubi might just be the lifeline that O2 needed. I think indeed it is, as Abs comes back on the Baptiste, presumably for that immortality field coming through. All of a sudden, this time bank has dwindled away. O1 have looked in complete control of this map the whole way through, but somehow, some way, O2 have managed to dwindle down this time bank to not have it be as devastating. A good hook from I'm Special, and I think he's been a pivotal part in this defense.
Oh, it's huge. That being able to shut down Goku basically stops the entire thing, and Apple's going to go down at the end of that as well. We're going to see the res coming out, but O1 not really in a place that they're going to be fighting here. You see one getting into position. Kaiser, are you able to get off that EMP that's going to change this entire fight and shut down all these ultimates coming in from O1?
It's got to be. It's now or never, and all eyes are on the Sombra. A quick hack onto the health pack to ensure that Cool Boy stays healthy, but it's Apples who takes the initiation. He goes in, he gets hooked, but that's enough space made for Goku, and he finds a pick, make that 2. The stick as well onto the Roadhog, finishes him off, lickety split, and now it's just a couple of members of the defense remain, and they're scattered to the wind. The Sombra has got the world on their shoulders, the EMP not nearly enough to stop this now, as the barrage comes through as a flurry of fireworks. The victory, they know they've done it. Not as good a time bank, but O1 really looked in control.
Oh, yeah, 100%. We talked about how Kaiser's ultimate there had to come out. Only managed to hack up the Diva. Imo is perfectly happy with that. You know, take me out, that's fine. We still have the nano boost coming through there. We still see the mines coming through there. Yubi hits the pulse bomb that they need to get through. You didn't get any of the key targets to get that win condition here for O2, and I don't think they're going to be happy that they allowed this to push so far. Yes, they burnt down the time bank to be just left, but I mean, when you're looking at a difference of 50 seconds, that's not going to be what the difference is. And O2 just didn't look as strong as they did on attack. and not as composed, I think, being the most important part of that.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's so strange because there is a time bank advantage for O2, but I really do think that O2 struggled to come up with an answer for Goku and Yubi again. Maybe not so much when they were, in fact, attacking O2, but when O2 were defending, the only thing that was really keeping them in there were the ults that they could bring out from perhaps Kaiser with a good EMP, Tractor Kid with a really good minefield was coming out and making things work, and I'm Special with his hooks. They were so very reliable, to be fair, that he was doing everything he could, I think, as the Roadhog. The one thing, the one problem, ironically, was one on O2. The Ana, every time I'm Special pushed out and pushed away or tried to find a pick, overstepped a touch. One was there with either a sleep or a Bionade. It's just been so difficult for the tanks of O2, I think, to get a foothold in these fights and make any space for their DPS.
Yeah, at this stage, I mean, what are you really relying on at that stage? Special's hooks are the key to this lineup. It allows you to shut down someone like Apples, who's coming in there. And granted, O2 did a good job of that. They were able to get the hack, they were able to get the flashbang, they were able to get the hook on someone like Apples. Then you've used all your cooldowns. What's now to stop Yubi going to come in or Goku flying through the air? If you don't have a hook that's really threatening to the Pharah, I mean, when Special was able to land those on Goku, Goku went down and the whole of O1 kind of fell apart around them most of the time. When you don't have that hook advantage, when you've got one hitting the sleeps or hitting the anti-grenades and Special's pushed up a little bit too far, that takes away all the pressure and allows O1 to do whatever they want.
Yeah, I also really like the strategy in that final fight coming out from O1. Credit to Apples, who knows that there's an EMP online. He knows that there are cooldowns that need to be baited out. Apples effectively was the sacrificial lamb in that final fight. He swings in, he drops his mines, and he knows, I'm dead here. But if we make space for a concussive blast for Goku so that he can get on through, he takes the nano. If he gets value out of me trading my life away, then we probably win this. And the hook comes out onto Apples. The flashbang comes out onto Apples. The EMP shortly follows and is pretty ineffective, in fact, in dealing with what comes later. So Apples does a brilliant job of just being the spearhead, the battering ram. Unfortunately, Apples loses his life for that, but it's enough space that everyone turns for half a second that allows Goku to come through with his nano barrage online, and Yubi then goes through with the Tracer, who could just triple blink into the backline with that pulse bomb. It all works so well, and I'm not sure if it was intentional, but if it was, kudos to the main tank there, Apples, knowing that his job is letting his DPS flourish. He really does like put himself on the line for the map there, and it works out fantastically.
Yeah, I must admit, now it's going to be interesting to see. We're going to basically reset, and it's going to be a push. I think that what we want to see from O2 is they've got to at least capture this first point. 1 minute is enough time that they can try and stall out O1 on the first point, but we got to at least get to Streets phase. And that's Streets phase was where they didn't look the strongest. O1 was able to utilize that center, both on the defense, they were able to stay alive around that central building. And then when they were pushed on attack, we just didn't see O2 ever actually grouping up and trying to take a clean fight there. So Streets phase is where I think it's going to be decided. If we can prevent, or if O2 can prevent O1 to ever getting to the Streets phase, then they've got a good chance still of winning this competition. But this is their favorite map. This is where we should be seeing it. And I mean, 1 minute, K's have been doing a good job of building those EMPs quickly, but can you build it fast enough here and let your team survive? We just got to make sure that O2 doesn't over-aggress. You know, they cannot afford to throw themselves forward, maybe give up too much ultimate advantage towards O1. You got to sit back, cycle those cooldowns, make sure you're getting something like the hook back on, get 2 or 3 attempts with that, and then win the fight from there. You push forward too quickly, you've lost this point.
Yeah, it certainly is the case. And the worrying thing really for O2's defense is that, like you just touched on there, is that when O1 hit Streets phase, O2 didn't really have an answer for the Pharah getting those power positions on the map. So I reckon if O1 can get first point in their minute and go into Streets phase in overtime, there's a good chance that they finish the map again. Because their Streets phase, O2's Street phase defense was a little rough, to say the least. So O2 needs to hold O1 at the doors. They need to hold them before first point. You know, they need to stop that first cap coming on through, because otherwise I think O2, it all just comes apart. But it's all to play for here as we are resuming with the game. We're going to see I mean, a very desperate attempt, I think, for O2 to get back into this series. If they don't win their own map pick here, they go 3-0 down in the series, and that would be match point.
O1's going to be trolling us, right? There's no way they're locking in this team composition to come out here. So we'll just give them a sec. Okay, Yubi, right? Sure. Let's ignore what O1's doing now and posturing for us. Now looking at O2, still with the same sort of team composition. I'm special going away from the Roadhog. I mean, we were just talking about how important that hook was to the team composition, and now you're relying on a diva? Where's the burst potential coming on? Where's the threat for what you're almost expecting Goku to be running?
Oh god, well, all eyes are going to be on Verscod, right? He's the only burst damage that you have in that McCree. And we're seeing the Pharah, the Wrecking Ball, and the Diva, they're all going to set their sights on this McCree. They're just going to go on top of him. Abs and Coolboy can help, of course, but this is dangerous from O2. That being said, they really do need this hold. They need this hold, and Tractor Kid, I think, knows that. He's posturing up near the payload. He wants to hold it and slow it down. The first corner is already occupied nonetheless, as Goku just poking and prodding, as is Tractor Kid. He gets spotted out there by Goku, and this is a slow approach from O1 and O2. No one really wants to make the first move here, Alt.
And this is the problem. Without that Roadhog, what do you use to start the fight? Are you going to throw in Tractor Kid? Yeah, sure. And then you got the hack from Yubi now to counter it out almost completely. You don't want to throw I'm Special. That's your peel tank. That's the one who's got to keep Verscard alive on this high ground versus the Pharah. So who's going to be contesting this payload as the payload just keeps moving forward? I mean, we're
the payload's still moving!
And they haven't touched it!
They haven't touched the payload, and now Goku's in such a good position to pressure out Verscod, Abs, and Coolboy here. Big L's is still contested, however, but Tractor Kid falls! He goes down! This is the first fight that O2 are taking, and it's not gone well at all. Bear in mind, they might lose this map if they lose first point. Goku's got the nano on top of him, and it's a well-rehearsed routine at this point. Levitate will fall, and Verscod is doing all he can to hold this off. It's just not enough, though. They take the fight far too late. It punishes them so brutally, and now first point is occupied. The barrage is online. EMP's close with Yubi. There's so much in the bank now, and this is where we saw O2 really struggle on their defense last time.
Look at that slowpoke. What did that allow to happen? One was able to build up a nano boost at the beginning of the fight. I mean, granted, Cool Boys nearly got one themselves, but you're relying on you to get what initiation, what start. The nano boost comes out. Goku is almost unkillable in the air, especially now that you don't have something like a Roadhog hook. And it's now all up to this EMP to start us off.
Okay, EMP comes through, it's good. It connects onto 2, and Abs falls in the beginning. High Noon takes out Goku. That's the barrage missing now. EMP onto both tanks, but it's coming up all red in the kill feed. Surely they've done enough to stop this in the streets phase, and O2 have. That is the win condition now set. 2 minutes to get through first point, and halfway through streets phase. It's doable, but O2 have got to go faster than they did last time.
Ooh, that's not easy. I mean, we talked about that necessary to stop it before the doors, and they didn't manage to do it. Granted, they were going, okay, our win condition is let's build up our Sombra ultimate, get a good hack, get a good EMP at the end there, and take the fight before on the first point. They didn't do that fast enough, and it just came from the slow poke. I would have really liked to see some sort of stall ability coming out from O2 to be able to do it. Still, they won the fight once they got that win condition. They were able to win the fight really cleanly. I mean, that was a quick execution coming out from O2. O1 fell quite quickly there, but they still managed to get through the doors. 1 minute 51 means you got one team fight to go badly. That's really what you're banking on, is you got 2 team fights in total. If you go 1 badly, then you're going to be in trouble. If 2 go badly, you're going to be desperately trying to rush towards the point. You're now worried about a couple of ultimates coming in there. I mean, we saw how quickly one built up that nano boost in the first one. You cannot afford to lose 2 team fights. Otherwise, you're out of this straight away, and you're sitting on the verge of a match point in the first, hour?
Yeah, it's been quite quick actually. O1 really stepping on the gas, and they seem to have no intention of slowing down anytime soon. I don't know why Tractor Kid doesn't just go Orisa for that defense. He's playing ball in this really pokey style, and it doesn't seem to be like they're not really engaging off of anything, off of the hacks of Kaiser. Kaiser was getting hacks there, but we didn't see pile drivers come through. We didn't see I'm Special coming through on the Diva, Ely, and again, like you said, there wasn't really an initiation tactic. First God can't really follow up on a dive. He's on the McCree. You've got Baptiste and Anna who can't really help unless you land like a really good anti-nade or something like that. It all just seemed to not quite work properly. The cogs weren't quite turning. And Tractor Kid, I think if he just plays Orisa there and they play a poke, that might have worked. But it's not to be. And now they're scrambling for an answer. It looks as though we're going to see the same composition coming out from O2. They're going to run Tractor on the ball. And his ball was good, but it just didn't work with the team on the defense, I don't think.
Tractor Kid, if you look at their competitive profile there, it's just the wrecking ball. It really is just the wrecking ball. I've seen him pull out I've seen them at least pull out the Reinhardt a couple of times and then still play it like a wrecking ball. So if you ever want a strong one trick, that would be Tractor Kid. And I don't mind the wrecking ball, but it can't be everything. It can't be the person who's sitting on the payload trying to contest it. I would love to see something else coming through there, and that's why I loved I'm Special pulling out that Roadhog. Now I'm Special has to try and make that second attempt coming in here. Just wasn't able to pressure out there. Maybe now with them being on the offensive, they're going to be able to use I'm Special to fly up, contest the high ground, big O's or something like that. And Yubi gets hacked up at the beginning.
Kaiser falls immediately. Goku, I mean, you would have thought that Yubi was the one in trouble there, but in fact, it's Kaiser who falls, the other Sombra who didn't get hacked. I mean, a tremendous peel perhaps, or not enough follow-up damage. Versgod now feeling the heat as he is hacked up. And it's very, very difficult to push through onto this Pharah that's got the defensive hold already. Tractor Kid hacked up and in trouble. As that mega health pack, he can't go to that for aid. He just can't do it. Apples, in turn, will be hacked themselves. And Big L's is still being fought for, and the payload still moving. No one really wants to step foot on it from 0-1. This is just going to be a short contest. The hack missed Goku there, and that would have been a crucial one. Not to be, and this is still just such a pokey, proddy fight. Apples falls though, and that is so good for O2. Tractor Kid now pretty free to initiate this fight and force everyone from 0-1 back. This is looking good as Levitate falls as well. The Nano's online from 1. Does he choose to use it? He's holding it now as they know that this fight is completely lost. The doors will open, Alton. This is looking good. 38 seconds on the clock.
Interestingly enough, the same reason why O2 struggled in that first round is the same reason why O1 struggled. They didn't have anyone to step on the cart, and so the cart could push forward, and then we could see the picks coming out there, and well played to O2 to be able to get those picks. Now they've got the EMP online. They took this really well in the exact same position. This EMP could change everything, and they've got a couple of ultimates. They've, in fact, nearly got all 6 here from O2. They could very well take this point.
They need to take the initiative, though. They have to go first, because this was the mistake last time. Nano's already online. Goku's going in. The EMP comes down, but it misses Goku. The High Noon, though, it gets the job done. Takes out Levitate and Goku, and just for good measure, Yubi falls as well to the McCree, who's done oh so much for his team here. Amplification Matrix down, and the self-destruct is saved, but I don't think anyone's touching this from 0-1. 0-2 on Route 66. A little closer than they would have liked, but they get the job done, and they stay in the series.
Oh man, that was cleanly executed. I thought with that nano boost coming out at the beginning onto Goku, there could be some cracks falling for O2. That was an opportunity for them, but O2 just threw everything in the bank into that. I mean, at the end of that fight, the self-destruct was the only one left behind. I mean, O2 just being able to stabilize. I love that play from them, and it's gonna come down. Both of these teams showing that they can actually bring up something there and bring out enough into the back line. O2 maybe want to revisit some of their other strategies, especially as we're going on to Blizzard World now. We saw them really struggle. I think they got full hold on this yesterday, and so maybe history going to be echoing in the back line and hanging a shadow over them right now.
I liked the Roadhog, like you keep saying, I really liked the Roadhog from My Special. The answer was got by 0-1, but it took them a while, and I'm Special, even if he does get slept and anti-naded, you are still throwing all your resources into that Roadhog to stop him one-hit killing one of your squishies, right? So it's not bad at all. We're not wasting any time. We're headed straight into Blizzard World, so don't go anywhere. We are going in right here, right now. 2-1 now, RO2 Esports, and signs of life. This isn't their map pick, though, but it does favor the Wrecking Ball Diva compositions when we head to Blizzard World, Alton.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm actually okay with I'm Special being on the D.Va right now, especially on this first point. It means that you get that opportunity, and like you say, you're using between Tractor Kid, he's the one going to be trying to soak up all the abilities. If you can get Special just trying to keep Tractor Kid alive, you be having swapped off that Sombra and now just realizing it didn't work to the full effectiveness. It was a great plan for Route 66, especially when you can control those big health packs. You take away some of that self-sustain. You be going to be going through here. Can O2 actually push into this, build up a slow ult, or they don't want a slow ult from Kaiser, but the EMP still proving to be very effective and the key component of this O2 lineup.
Yeah, we're seeing the same comp as O1 used on Oasis. It worked for them so well there. They used it on their second map as well. Didn't quite go to plan, but they're looking pretty good here as a good concussive blast sends Tractor Kid off the side and into the drink. Unlucky go next. That's going to be for the Wrecking Ball, and not so much as a tick acquired here. O1 have already done enough. Yubi is going to be taken out though, and that's a 5v5 all of a sudden. Like I said, not much healing for the side of O1, and it's a hard job for Levitate on the Mercy to keep everyone up, especially when Imo gets hacked. The Resurrect though, not contested at all, and Yubi just back in the fight like that. It's Tractor Kid goes in for this slow poke, and he goes for this high ground behind, making that space and making it difficult for the DPS to do all that much. Goku, though, happy to fly away, does get hacked up, and the D-Mech comes through. One will fall, and that is pretty darn fast, in fact, if you're O2. Goku finds a pick, make that 2 on his way out. He's got the weight of the world on his shoulders, though, and I don't think he can quite carry this whole point, but that might be recontestable.
No, I like this play coming out from O2. They actually played quite a slow, aggressive push there, where they just moved from cover to cover, stay out of the line from Goku. Don't let Goku really get some shots out into the open. And even though Tractor Kid went down at the beginning of the fight, Tractor Kid able to reinforce so quickly. They force out the res, meaning Levitate doesn't have that for anyone else who goes down. And it means that once that opportunity comes up, we see O2 pushing in quite aggressively. Case has now got up his EMP, and O2 looking quite comfortable for the first time, really, against O1.
Yeah, it's strange because Baptiste doesn't seem like it belongs in this composition, but they're making it work. The amplification matrix comes down. Special, though, gets caught out, and that's going to be a minefield into the backline as well. Taking out Cool Boy. Yubi falls, though, to the Sombra. So this payload might keep moving unless Goku goes for the barrage. He only finds one, and the flashbang stops that short as he will fall. EMP committed as well from Kaiser, perhaps an overcommitment there as the fight's already won, if you ask me. But insurance policy coming on through as the remake takes out Imo, and the payload's going to keep on rolling here.
That EMP I was worried about. I mean, we didn't see Versgard in the action having to go back for that health pack, and I thought that this might be a place where EMP was at the end of a lost fight, but it does secure them the D.Va kill. It secures the quick swap around as we see ultimates being thrown left and right, instantly back into the action.
Good God, Goku just immediately quaffs that attack. Takes out 2, and Imo's happy to finish up the remaining picks as well. The defense finally on Street's phase, stabilizing a little bit. The denial of the res, in fact, not going to work there as Goku's back in the fray. Tractor Kid going to fall on down, and Special getting that D-Mech, presumably going to get stalled out here as well.
Man, that actually seemed almost like a continuation of the first fight. Special in a bad position. Oh, see, again, this trickle coming out from O2. Now they're trying to fight this 5v6, and they still don't want to back up. They're still going into this.
Yeah, Tractor Kid actually swings in with the grapple there as Apples goes to contest him, takes that flashbang right to the chin and is forced away. And again, there's not all that much healing for O1, so big chunks of damage onto your tanks is going to slow down the defense a lot. They can't go back in until either the Lucio or the Mercy's healed them up. It's pretty rough, and of course they go for the mega health packs, but it still takes them out of the fight momentarily. Yubi, however, going to find that McCree, no CC available, and that means that Goku just goes on forward. Takes out Abs on that Baptiste, and that is devastating from the skies now. Goku goes to town, and Apples will fall back, and Tractor Kid has these minefields, and there's one thing we've seen from both of these teams, it's that the fight's not over till it's over. Still fighting this at O2, despite being so many numbers down. Surely that's going to be it. Tractor Kid running away with his tail tucked between his legs.
This is how you end up burning minutes off your time bank, though, if you're O2. You just got to stabilize. At the beginning of that fight, they lost one. They still carried on going in. Now we see Tractor Kid trying to find a bit of pathing, and finally we see O2 stabilizing. They've got all the ultimates that they need, but they need to worry about especially something like the sound barrier from 1 coming into this next fight, and the proactive move comes out from O1 to start us off.
like you said, they just are the ones to initiate the fights, and that usually puts them on the front foot, but not this time. The High Noon punishing the aggression as Apples falls and one goes down to that Deadeye. The Fan, the Hammer comes through and it just demechs the Diva. Yubi, however, trades out First God here, and the Resurrect onto Apples is so good. This might be turnable. Goku lets it rain and finds Abs. That might be enough to stave it off for now. The Farah taking a nap in the back, however, but the Anna truly in trouble from O2. Apples is hacked up though, and this is so all over the place. The self-destruct from I'm Special. Clearly he thinks this is winnable, and indeed with Apples going down, it certainly could be. Yubi not long left for this world either, and he will fall too. This payload now pretty close to that golden box and that other point. The EMP, Kaiser just goes for the manual hack, in fact, and doesn't quite find it onto Goku. He's too quick for the danger, and this contest is right by that second point being unlocked. The amplification matrix comes out, as does the EMP. The beat gets cancelled from the EMP. Disaster strikes for O1 as O2 start to feel the rhythm and feel the rhyme. The bobsled moving on in on Blizzard World. They get the job done, and Verse got back on the Tracer of all things has started to pop off.
Man, this chaotic nature that both these teams love is just causing havoc here. I'm impressed at your play-by-play being able to keep up with this, because if you see this is the sort of pub mentality that actually triggers a lot of people. You're going, guys, just get back together. This is not the fight we need to take, and yet O2 never wanting to give it up. They just carry on fighting. They use their mobility to be able to constantly threaten and go, okay, we lost one, they're going to be back in a couple of seconds. We see the aggressive posturing coming out from O2. They've managed to already cap that second point effectively, and now it's going to be up to Kaiser. Can you build up that EMP into the next fight? It should be O1 being able to take this next one if they're proactive. You see that kill is coming out straight away.
Yeah, like you said, the minefield goes in, it creates space. Yubi finds the pulse bomb, he wins the duel against the Tracer, and he's no intention of stopping anytime soon. With the aid of Goku there, they take out Kaiser, and I'm just going to reset his mech there, pretty happy with that, and they've still got ults to work with. Versgod now swapping back to the McCree, and I think this is where McCree's going to really thrive, these small corridors where realistically, Yubi can't go on mad flanks, he just can't do it.
Yet again, you look at this aggressive posturing coming out, the minefield setting out a almost insurmountable place for O1 to come back in, and O2 very happy to push forward right now. They're looking for this EMP into the backline. This could set up everything that they need to close out the point.
Kaz is only 90% though, he's got to get it finished, so he's pushed up so aggressively trying to land that EMP. He's got it online now, so he just translocates away. He knows his job is done for now. The self-destruct available as well, but Goku is the one who initiates. He misses getting EMP'd as well, but he will fall down, and there's the self-destruct over the top as Versgod gets his hands dirty with that nano boost lapped on top of him in an amplification matrix. How much more do you want to give Versgod to pop off? But when you give him the goods, he sure as hell delivers, and this might not be touchable. Apple's got to get there, but he's just booped from pillar to post. It's in fact the Tracer who has to step up. The Deadeye out now, and the Genji back from all things. Goku takes that Deadeye right between the eyes, and the hack onto Aimo means he's not going to be able to use that self-destruct before getting demected. Disaster strikes for the defense as O2 really find the rhythm and are feeling good. One finds one, but it's going to take more than that. And 11 seconds on the clock for O2. They finish Blizzard World.
Okay, I'm not normally a big fan of something like this chaotic play style that comes out. It tends to not really go well, especially against a coordinated team. You know, if you're doing a little scrim or something, sure, play it out, get that deathmatch play going. But we saw there that awareness of going, right, Kaiser needs to get up the EMP, goes in very aggressively, builds it up nicely, allows you the space for someone like Versgod to now start clicking heads. You amplify that now with the Baptiste ultimate, and you start getting the cycle of ultimates. I mean, we saw there O2 at the end just being able to get up 1, 2, 3, 4 ultimates in a row, drop them one after each other, and it became a very staggered, very scrappy fight at the end for O1 to try to come back into that. No one able to really get the space, and the space is what has really dictated the power of O1's lineup. We get a full push here from O2, and I think that might actually be enough. If we talked about Route 66, their strength on that, they gave it away in the streets phase, and if O2 can just keep their composure now, they might actually have a good opportunity here to take this up and level the series.
Yeah, and now all eyes are kind of on O1, who looked really dominant in the first map. they need to maintain that vice-like grip, you know? They've really got to go in for the kill here. They seem to be slightly halted, and I do think it's thanks to the support line, Abs Coolboy, and Versgod there, the McCree, just getting everything thrown at him for him to pop off, to be fair, and he does deliver, but now you have to look at 0-1. They've got to keep up the momentum. We can see one on Ana. They don't want to run this Lucio anymore. They're running the Ana. Perhaps they were expecting Ana special on the Roadhog, but not to be either way, and that's going to be a sort of slow walk up to this point of the fight already breaking out. The Immortality Field is late from Abs, and that signals Coolboy's demise. Look at Goku go crazy. Yubi wants a one as well, and he will take out Abs, and this in the blink of an eye is over. Imo will fall and get demech, but I mean, that's the only casualty sustained from the attacking side. This is really just domination coming out. I said they need to have a strong answer to 0-2, and indeed they did there.
I alluded to it earlier. This is how 0-1 loves to play. They go, right, we need to get onto their supports. We need to get on the backline, burst them down quickly, and then win the fight out from there. And that was exactly the strategy. Goku uses that concussive blast to get into the backline, really puts pressure on Coolboy. Abs drops down the Immortality Field, trying desperately, knowing that they need to keep that fellow support alive. Doesn't manage to do it. Now doesn't have that up to keep himself alive. And when you're isolating off the two supports in the backline, you're just waiting now for the rest of the team to crumble around you, and 0-2 executes it perfectly with the concussion blast. Goku!
Oh, Goku finds Tractor Kid off that exact same back part of A for the second time, and look at where Apples is. He's so deep in enemy territory. He pressures out Coolboy, but Abs is there this time and will not get killed. Goku also falling here, so it's a 5v5 with Wrecking Balls missing. Imo, though, oversteps and gets punished. Kaiser also taken out, but the numbers simply aren't there for 0-1. 0-2 have managed to stave this off, and this is a pretty devastating place to be held.
Yeah, 100%. And that came down to Arm Special just sitting in the front line, stopping Goku and the rest of 0-1 to get into the back lines to join their tank lineup. And we saw the two tanks from 0-1 trying to get there to burst in the damage. Now is a good opportunity for them to come in.
Pulse bomb. Oh, Abs uses the Immortality Field on himself, but Coolboy was the one who got stuck, so he gets taken on out. The Minefield then finishes off Abs as that Immortality Field goes down, and Yubi finds a pick and all. This might be second point done and dusted. There's going to be another touch, and Tractor Kid has got his minefields, and that really has been quite important thus far.
Yeah, starting off with that minefield, you're going to create some opportunity. Kaiser's got the EMP, and if Kaiser can get off a good EMP, it could set up something for 0-2 here.
Manual hack onto Apples just puts so much pressure downwind here. We see the Translocate on, and the EMP come down. It catches Yubi, but he's able to get away. Goku, on the other hand, sets the barrage straight through the enemy amplification matrix. The self-destruct now in desperation from I'm Special, but it turns the fight on its head. The remake now from I'm Special, and surely the defense have done enough to stave this for now. They take out Imo, and that's surely going to have been enough. Apples is the lone survivor now alongside Yubi, who gets taken out in an instant, and that was something special.
Oh, that play from Coolboy to get the sleep onto Goku means that he's sitting there, and I'm Special goes cheekily, stands in front of him, drops the self-destruct, doesn't just take out the sleeping Farah, but also takes out the Mercy at the same time and brings that fight back from the verge of defeat. We finally see 0-2 looking strong in the Street's face.
And unfortunately, they look so good, but it's still got to be 3 minutes. And look, Tractor Kid's being hounded down already from Yubi. As Versgod's just got this high ground and is able to shoot fish in a barrel at the moment. No one really pressuring him out, and there's, like, say that, a looming nuke over the top. Doesn't catch him out, though, but it forces him off that high ground, and that's so important because that means that one is vulnerable, and he gets taken down. That is beautifully done. I'm Special finds the opening pick, and Apples falls too. That's the Diva gone and all, and this defense is looking pretty good.
Oh, it's looking very good, especially now that you've got all the ultimates coming back online here from 0-2. They've got that EMP back up. Versgod actually getting a huge amount of value consistently with the High Noon, which is ironic considering it's normally one of the most unreliable ultimates in the game. Tractor Kid gonna have those bombs back on in a couple of seconds. Coolboy up to that nano boost. 0-2 has everything that they need to stall out, and you said that there were 3 minutes left on the board for 0-1. They're down to 2 now. Is this stick gonna find it? No.
Oh, it doesn't quite connect, but it does some damage. Verscod goes for that high noon with a nano on top, with the EMP as well, and they do enough there. Pardon me, he doesn't even go for the high noon. He just starts clicking heads. My God, they're really putting the pocket onto Verscod, and he's turning up, man. He's doing enough, and that is incredible. The problem is now is that they've only got the minefield, the self-destruct, and a naked high noon to work with, and that's when you're going to struggle to find value with that ultimate.
It's going to be up to Goku. Can you get into the backline? Can you shut down Verscod? Verscod, like you say, is getting the pockets because O2 realized this is the key component of your lineup. He's going to be the one to threaten anyone in the air. He's going to be the one to control up Yubi with the flashbang. He's going to be the one to put the damage into Apples. It's up to Verscod. If he can stay alive in this, they've got a good shot here, O2, of defending.
So much rests on this McCree doing so much, and we can see him actually lurking around this right-hand side. He's not been spotted out just yet as Yubi gets deep. He's trying to charge that pulse bomb here, but Goku opens up and draws first blood. The nano on top, the barrage not quite yet, not needed. There it goes, and he does so much damage. He'll take himself out with it nonetheless, though, and that self-destruct turns the fight on its head as Goku takes his own life with the barrage. Surely that's enough, as well as Levitate goes into the minefield. That's the second final blow for the mines, and that is disaster for 0-1. 0-2 looking so good here as Apples gets hacked and does not get out with his life, and neither does 1. There's gotta be an answer, but 30 seconds on the clock now and just a pulse bomb to work with.
Heads up play from Tractor Kid there. We saw Verscod going on with an optimistic high nude onto the back line there. Everyone from 0-1 turns and focuses there. So our Tractor Kid goes, at the end of the day, what's important is the objective. Drops those mines there and secures the position for the team.
Yep, and now we're at 10 seconds. This is do or die for 0-1 on Blizzard World. Something special's got to happen here. Beat out early, and that's got to be the go button. The self-destruct over the top, though, strips a lot of that damage away. The nano onto Verscod to keep him alive against Apples here, who's feeling the heat. It's 1 who goes down first and levitates so very low as well. Goku, though, finds a pick. The D-Mech onto Imo, though, is disastrous as Apple falls. He had his minefield and all, but isn't going to get to use it. The resurrect onto 1 is just so desperate as Yubi now hacked up as well. The anti-nade on top of him. They can't do anything. 0-2 with signs of life on Blizzard World, looking so very dominant on Streets phase here. Tie the series 2-2.
That was incredible. I thought 0-1 had that in the bag. They were able to get those target prioritizations when they were pushing the first attack, just getting into the back line, taking out those supports. But Verscod, such a well-deserved player of the game coming in here. This is at the end of their first push, getting that massive anti-heal grenade to allow him to keep putting in the damage. And Verscod's just doing such work, clicking the heads consistently, getting the kills with the high noons, getting the kills with the damage. 40 eliminations onto the McCree, and 40 people hacked by the Sombra. DPS difference coming out here for O2 Esports to be able to take this up. And remember, 0-1 had that 1 game advantage. We're going on to an assault with the closest grand finals we could possibly want.
Yeah, it really is going the distance, and I'm all for it. These teams are crazy. They're winning fights that we think are lost. They're losing fights we think are won. This is absolutely back and forth Overwatch. Newton's Cradle Overwatch. You're not going to want to miss the next map. Like you said, it's 2CP coming up. We are going to go to a short break just to give us casters a little bit of a respite from that crazy one. But don't go anywhere. We're headed to 2CP just after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The grand finals of EMEA Open Division is well underway here. It's an absolute barn burner. We've got a 2-2 here. O1 Esports versus O2 Esports, believe it or not. And O2 bringing it back from an 0-2, see what I did there? To even up the series, thanks to some heroics from Versgod ult.
Oh yeah, Versgod has definitely become the crux of this lineup now and enabled so well by the team. You've got people like the Anna just having that awareness of going, oh, our McCree's on the high ground in such a good position, but they're being dove. Let's give them the nano boost, allow them to click the heads. Versgod being able to avoid a lot of the damage and put on so much pressure to Goku, who has been largely uncontested thus far in this competition, and being able to use that to open up the space, being able to shut down people like UB on the Tracer, shut down the pressure from the Apples on the backline, and this burst ability that O1 has relied on so much is just not finding the picks on the backline like they need to so far, and they've given up 2 maps in a row. Means that O2 now on the verge of keeping this momentum going as we head to Volskaya Industries.
Yes, we go to Volskaya, and that is obviously going to be pretty good for the Wrecking Ball of Apples, and from O1, they want to play that style of play. The problem is that for O2, they're pretty happy matching that, and with Versgod up on a high ground for Volskaya point A, I mean, they're not going to be too upset about this map pick. It kind of, whatever favors O1, usually favors O2 as well. So on this defense, Goku's going to have an absolute field day on this Pharah, as he has done all series long, I think. It's just whether Tractor Kid and I'm Special can make enough space to bust through to force Goku off this choke point.
Yeah, if they can get through the choke points, then O2 should be able to have a little bit more freedom. And I think a big part of this is going to be Kaiser's EMPs. Kaiser been coming out so clutch with those so far. When it comes to something like a 2CP map, if you can win that first fight and take the first point without needing to use that EMP, and you can rush straight to second point with it, you give yourself such an opportunity to build the biggest time back you could possibly want. Versgod just needs to stay safe, stay out of the range of Goku. Don't let them jump on top of you, and then you're going to have that opportunity. Wow, we already see Abs going quite aggressive.
Apples falls down there? He's the one who dies? That's so bizarre. Abs gets traded out, but I thought it was really Abs who was way too far forward. The Resurrect surely has to come through onto Apples, although they decide to give up a tick and not resurrect the Wrecking Ball, which means that O2 have a pretty free first tick here. They don't want to give him the second, though, and Imo is going to drop to touch the point, but he gets immediately blown up. Kaiser, however, in the back will get taken up by Goku, who Versgod took his eyes off for just a half a second, but there he goes, sets his sights back on the Pharah and deletes him absolutely immediately. Versgod, however, feeling the heat and is in trouble, will be backing off for that Mega Health Pack, but this is all coming up red in the kill feed. O2 looking so good here.
What is Versgod's aim? Managed to get 4 hits in a row on the Pharah, and considering that's a pocket, that's the sort of consistency you need, and we're already up to a second tick here for the side. Versgod eventually going to get taken down. You be doing the good prioritization. Still, it looks like O2 looking quite comfortable, but there's a lot of reinforcements coming from O1.
Abs goes off the edge. Disaster. The Lucio, just read it. Lucio's off the edge. Absolute disaster struck there. Luckily, Apple still falls, but Imo, he takes out Kaiser and Goku. Turning this around, the Resurrect onto the Wrecking Ball as well just means that there's far too many members of the defense on the point to cap it up all the way. That you have to assume was a complete and utter misplay coming out from Abs that costs them that first point.
Man, that is so devastating towards the side here of O2. They were looking so good in that they caught the good picks that they needed to, but losing their support like that, Abs not really giving a lot into that team fight, now having swapped over to the Baptiste, trying to stabilize it, and you've now, more importantly, given a lot of ultimates towards the side of O1.
Yeah, and well, here we go. The minefield comes out, and look at they're just prioritizing Versgod every single time, who used his high noon, by the way, during that moment. Self-destruct over the top as well, sending him from I'm Special, and the D-Mech coming through onto Imo there. So a little bit desperate now for the defense, but it's Goku who steps up to the plate along with Yubi there. A good defense matrix peel, though, from I'm Special. Doesn't quite protect his supports from the Pharah, but was doing a good job of staving off the Tracer. It's not enough, though, with that two-pronged attack from Yubi and Goku, beautifully working in motion. They hold off this attack, and 90 seconds on the clock. This was looking good from O2, but all of a sudden the beads of sweat surely starting to show.
And now you got Kaiser with the EMP. Now you perhaps have to drop that just to win this fight. Goku going to be so content to spam out this choke, and if O2's not careful, they could actually give this away in a rather easy fashion where they were looking so good in the beginning.
Oh no, there we go. Apples just gets absolutely melted there. The EMP comes through, but it was only onto the Diva, who was already getting out of their mech. So effectively a zero-man EMP, but the job presumably is already done with Amplification Matrix coming down first. God, 1 HP. Yubi finishes him off, but trades his own life out, and that's just not enough in 2 CP. Everyone else from the defense having to scramble here. Goku doing well though, takes out 1, make it 2. He gets the barrage, but is traded away. So surely that's going to be the defense not quite clinging on. They get the resurrection through, but Apples will fall. Self-destruct straight up into the air coming through from Mine Special, takes out the Farah and the Mercy, and it's 1 who's got to step up to the plate. This can't be turning around. I don't believe what I'm seeing. Aimo turns it around with some heroics from Liana and Goku. Everyone pitching in and pulling their weight, and 20 seconds on the clock now, Alt.
I cannot believe this. That was the absolute limits here for O1 to leave that point to tick up, and they've managed to hold it now. Everything dropped for O2 means that they've got nothing coming into this. They've got to go into the self-destruct. They've got to go into the nano boost, and O2 are on the verge of being full held here on Volskaya.
That is disgusting. The nano barrage coming, the nano Farah now coming through, and a punch takes out Cool Boy, who comes back on the Lucio as quick as they can. Overtime ticking on down, and you've just got to be absolutely molding if you're O2. O1, the jammiest hold of Volskaya you've ever seen here. The DPS coming up so big, everyone pitching in, and O2 left scratching their heads saying, how on earth did we lose that fight?
What? I mean, that target prioritization, let's give credit and break it down properly now.
Insane.
The target priority from O1, they were on Versguard. They realized how much work Versguard was able to do consistently, able to shut him down constantly. Abs playing a little bit too aggressively means that we are down a support, and that's what O1 was utilizing previously. I mean, normally it's having to be O1 jumping onto your back line to be able to kill them. Abs just goes mad in the beginning with the Lucio, gets himself into a bad position, gets taken. Now it means that you're not there. Opens up the space for O1 to now go, right, who's the next most important? Let's take out Versguard. Once you've taken out Versguard, once you've taken out Abs, now we can start winning the fight however we want it. Let them touch the point for as long as they want, except that last 1%. 97.5 is not going to be enough in my case, and O1 looking to shut this out and go back to that match point advantage.
Can you believe it? I mean, this is still winnable for O2, right? We have to emphasize. It is. They just have to not let O1 get 97.6% on first point of Volskaya in 4 minutes. It's doable. It's doable. It's a tall damn order for O2 now, who again, you can only imagine are going to be so disappointed that they do not cap first point. O1 coming into this with the Lucio as well. They want to go all guns blazing, and here we see Goku over the top, poking and prodding. The name of the game is going to be get that barrage online. Hack onto Aimo though. That's going to slow it down a little bit. It's going to just make this poking and prodding phase a little bit longer. I'm special feeling the heat there. The supports are up on the high ground for O2, so they're not with complete LOS. Apples flashbangs as well here in trouble. Goku though taking out Versguard. The dominoes, they start to fall here, but O2, they answer back beautifully with 2 picks of their own, and you should be holding this off now. I'll never count O1 out of a fight again, but surely O2 have done enough here to stop that attack.
O1 actually set themselves up beautifully. Apples and Yubi went around the backside. Apples managed to get the knock off the high ground, stop the players coming in, just holding there. You know, Versguard was in a good position, and then the dive came in. But the big play, the massive play, was Cool Boy managing to get this. Okay, Tractor Kids just sitting all the way on point.
Tractor Kids and Apples are playing Tokyo Drift over here on point B, whilst point A is being full over here. Sorry to cut you short there, but what on earth was happening there? As Apples tries to get away, Tractor Kid just takes the bait and chases him all the way to point B. The minefield down from him, though, surely slows this down a little bit. Versguard again, the first target, and he will fall, though. So that's no hit scan available. So Goku now starting to feel it and going in. Will be taken up by Tractor of all people. Yubi takes out Abs, though. This is clapped back. The Nano's invested now onto the Sombra, who's got the EMP online and certainly could use it if she chooses to do so. Gonna have to translocate away, though. Feels the heat and taken out. All the while, though, the attention was turned on the Sombra. O2 managed to stabilize this again. Not so much as a tick yet.
This is all down to Cool Boy and Abs being able to solidify in that little back room. They're utilizing the massive health pack that's been hacked up by Kaiser. Cool Boy's hitting the most amazing anti-heal grenades to keep the team alive and stop the sustain coming out from O1. But now the nano boost comes out onto Goku.
Oh, the hack and the sleep and the immortality field and the amplification matrix, all to shut down that Pharah coming into that small room. And O2, they've found an answer to Goku on the Pharah. They just throw everything at him, but they forgot about Yubi and he finds a pick. And this is just going to favor the offense. The defense now a little slimmer than they perhaps would like as the barrage comes down, takes out Abs, and that might be all they need. Self-destruct though takes out Yubi, and that is just another pendulum swing in this fight. Goku swings and answers back and finds a pick of their own. Minefield now down as it's just the tanks remaining for O2 on this defense. A tick has got to be had here at least as the hack onto Apple slows him down, but Kaiser's having to pull away from the fight. Look at how low Tractor is, and he's getting away with his life ult.
And this is the big plays. This is such heads-up play coming out from O2 so far. They allowed themselves to stick around and just stop the prioritization. But now the point starts ticking up. It's going to have to be up to VerseGod coming through on this Tracer, trying to build up this pulse bomb. He's going to pick it up quickly, trying to get the stick onto someone here on the point. It's basically last fight opportunity. We got 46 seconds left.
But the point is so low. Oh, the pulse bomb finishes off one who walks into it. It was meant for Levitate, but the other support, he'll take it all day long. Someone's got to get on the point though, and it's just the Diva left. Tractor's got to get on and touch as well as the D-Mech comes on through. It's just the Wrecking Ball alive in the barrage. Will see to that. Lickety split. Volskaya was such a close one, but O1 take it when all the dust settles.
I mean, I did not think at the beginning, you heard my trepidation there and my lack of faith. Maybe in O1, the fact that they were going, right, or at least in O2, where they were going, yes, we didn't get that first point. We've got to try to pull something miraculous out. And we saw the massive plays coming out from the two tank players, just keeping the O1 side busy long enough that they weren't actually touching the point. They weren't getting any ticks up and just burned down that time. Cool Boy with the big anti-heal grenades bought something for O2, and if O2 could just have captured that first point, they would have been able to take this. I have no doubt about that. But O1's defense.
That is an incredible defense from O1 and O2, though. You have to say that is the closest Volskaya, well, I've certainly ever casted. That was so down to the wire. Incredible from both teams. And like you said, in the end, it just comes down to like scrappy heads-up play. Like who can adapt to the situation on the fly fastest and best. And ultimately, the pocket on Goku means that he can get a barrage off. And when all the resources are dwindled, right at the end of a team fight, no one's stopping that barrage from getting value.
Yeah, you know, barrage is normally a press Q to die sort of ultimate, but when there's only 2 people left alive after the barrage has been going for a second, there's not the burst damage that you can get through. There's not the sleeps that are able to shut it down. There's just nothing left to shut down the Pharah, and Goku had the opportunity, and it came down to O1 being able to take down VerseGod at the beginning of those fights, Apples being able to just control that high ground a little bit more, and while O2 came close, they now have everything to do as we go on to our control points, and this is where O1 has been looking so strong. Control points just favors that chaotic play style that they love so much.
Yeah, it really does. And let's remind you very quickly that it is 3-2, but we are headed to Nepal as it's a first to 4 series here for the grand finals of EMEA Open Division. Both of these teams already have spots in contenders trials, but this really is a battle for glory, bragging rights, and an extra bit of cash prize. Nepal is somewhere where you could perhaps dismantle Goku on the Pharah, but there's a lot of places that you can play into for a Pharah on Nepal. So O2 taking them here is certainly interesting.
It's going to be difficult. There's so much high ground control on something like the Shrine outside there. You get... all these areas are just so Pharah favored that VerseGod is going to have to be playing the game of their life. And like you say, this is all for bragging rights. And I think that regardless of who wins this, both teams have had a great showing so far. And I think that they can hold their heads up high. But when it comes down to the individual rivalry of these two teams, I don't think O2 wants to take it at this point, especially if they can take a control point map off of O1 Esports. That's really going to go, we can beat you on most places, even if they end up losing it. A 3-4 would not be out of the realms of possibility.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that tends to happen with Overwatch League as well, is when you have a team that are really good with control maps, they tend to win out series that go longer. And this is where O1 have an advantage coming into this series, is they get to play control twice. So it's almost a guaranteed map. I don't want to say it's a guaranteed map for them, but O2 certainly have their work cut out for them on an unfavored map for them, despite it being their map pick. It's a little worrying if you're an O2 esports fan now. This is the time to step up in this series and take it to map 7. It really is all on the line. And O1, if they take Nepal in such a fashion that they did Oasis, they're walking away with this, with the trophy, with Open Division Grand Finals champions, you know? And again, like you said, there's a bit of a grudge between these two teams. So it's going to sting so much more. I think O2 can do it. They did a really good job, actually, on Volskaya of shutting down Goku for the most part on that Pharah. There's the particular one where he got nanoed and goes into the Mega Health Pack room. Abs immediately drops his Amp Matrix and his Immortality Field. The Pharah gets stunned, then slept by Cool Boy. So they really are just throwing everything at Goku on the Pharah, and that's certainly doable on the Paul, but it's a tall order for O2 here.
Yeah, that's the key, is which of the DPS is going to go down first? Is Versgod going to be just bursted down by O1, or is Goku going to have a tough time finding the space? We saw that Cool Boy has that awareness that they need to get the sleeps, get the anti-heal grenades on. If you can hit an anti-heal, then you stop the pocket from really doing much. Guys, we're going to go to a quick break as we set up this. No, in fact, we're entering the game.
No, I believe we are just going to head to a quick one. Don't go anywhere. It is match point. O1 Esports could take it all here on Nepal. You don't want to miss this. We'll see you in a bit. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for bearing with us for that slight technical issue. We are back, and it is match point here for O1 in the Open Division Grand Finals for the EMEA. And all eyes are going to be on Goku here, who's been running the Pharah all series long. Versgod on the McCree has been coming up with answers for O2, but Alt, it's going to be very difficult to stop him here on Nepal.
I think at this stage, it's going to be, can you keep him away from the rest of your back line? Can you keep him just isolated there in the front line, being able to do damage, distract him, something like Tractor Kid going in there on the Wrecking Ball? You got to think that a Wrecking Ball one trick has got all the rollouts that they need to on a map like this. And if you can just stop that combo of the burst damage, coming through there. Goku can do so much on their own, but if you don't have that follow-up by Yubi and Apples, it means that you got the chance. K's are going to be looking to do a lot of that work, being able to hack up anyone else coming in with Goku to try and stop stuff out there. And instantly, first, a lot of damage being taken by O2.
Yeah, O2 just like all went down to half HP. I don't know if that was just Goku with a damage boost, but that was so much damage. Tractor Kid went down to like so low HP. You can see the difference in ult charge on the supports for O2. They've got such an advantage after that onslaught. Goku opens it up and takes out Abs as well. So far, this Pharah still dominating the skies. The sleep misses Apples, but the flashbang does not. And look at the pressure that Cool Boy is under, and he cannot sustain that long. Certainly without Abs in the mix, he's going to go down immediately. And this is just a tempo that O1 are operating at that O2 simply cannot match at the moment.
And look at that difference there. You worry about sometimes your tanks just giving away ult charge, and that's exactly what's happened here. O2 just giving away so much there. Yubi already having built up his ultimate into this fight, and it all comes down to the pressure on the backline of O2. Goku, Apples, Yubi all getting in there, shutting down Verse God at the beginning of this, and you see the force swap out from Verse Kid.
Yeah, well, the hack comes through onto Apple, so that is a huge start, but the Pulse Bomb stops it in its tracks. Cool Boy goes down, and these supports have had no space to breathe on O2 as the DPS from O1 have really had their number. Minefield's out from Tractor Kid now as there's a battle on the point going on, and the D-Mech onto Imo comes through as the flip of the point goes in favor of O2. That's huge. They're surely going to send O1 packing, right? With Imo going down as well. You would have thought that they'd won the fight, but never count them out here as Goku takes out Abs, self-destruct, just to get back into the mech, and they find 2 from I'm Special. I can't believe that that was intended at all. Minefield down from Apples, but it's really too little too late there.
How do you get a double kill with a self-destruct on 2 of the most mobile heroes in the game, Yubi on the Tracer and 1 on the Lucio? That should not happen, neither of them running away from it, and that's exactly what turned the fight. And considering that O2 managed to pick up the point percentage at the beginning of that fight, they're already up to 50%.
Yeah, this is looking really good for O2, in fact, and Amp Matrix out as well. Just going to stop this Pharah getting too far through as Apples takes a slight break, takes a nap there. Feeling the pressure on the point here. Pulse Bomb comes through from Yubi, doesn't connect, and the Nano Boost onto Verse God here, but it's Goku who's coming up with the goods. He finds the barrage as well, and Cool Boy falls on down. That Nano onto Verse God, not really doing what they needed it to do. This EMP is online, but presumably Kaiser's not going to want to invest it just yet, as this fight surely lost for O2 now, as O1 kept that point back up, and they're ticking on the right direction.
Oh, that was all up to Kaiser. Kaiser had to get that EMP at the beginning of the fight, but there was such a preemptive use of ultimates. Stuff like Levitate, popping that Valkyrie at the beginning of the fight, allowed O1 to push in aggressively. They got the kill on Kaiser, and Kaiser needed that to come back and try counter it out. Not managing to get it, gonna need to use it in this next fight, and there is still an opportunity, of course, for O2 to take this fight. They need to use it quickly, but most importantly, one with that sound barrier needs to avoid it, and has done a good job of it yesterday. Can they follow through today?
There it is, and it's so good. It's almost rehearsed. One finding the beat just on time as Goku finds a pick, and the resurrect onto Yubi means that he's back in this fight. The minefield from O2 is strewn across the point as Burst God takes out one, punishing him for using that sound barrier to negate one ultimate. He can't do it for the Pulse Bomb and will fall there. Imo going to be going down as well, but Goku is still so free in the skies. The flip still not through as well, so this is still ticking on up for O1. The hack finally onto Goku as they set their sights on the Pharah. The aim of the game seems to be ignore Goku and hope he doesn't kill too many of our members whilst we win the fight on the point.
Yeah, and it seems to be working for now. Just the 2 supports left up here gets the 99% going for O1. They're probably going to have to give up the point here as both of them do fall. It is going to turn around, but we could be looking at just 1 fight left for the side of O1. Levitate going to be coming back in with that Valkyrie. Yubi with the Pulse Bomb, a good stick at the beginning, especially onto someone like Cool Boy or Abs, both of which have their ultimates up. If you can shut them down before they get one of those off, then you could be setting up a good opportunity. And we started off with the kill onto I'm Special.
And the stick onto the most easy target you could possibly imagine as Tractor Kid, the big wrecking ball just taken out there. The nano onto Abs in front of his window, presumably to try and deal with Goku, but he's safe and happy on the point. And you can't huff and puff and blow that one down. He's going to stay on there and just hit First God with that rocket, the Mercy Pocket, doing all that it needs to be done as overtime ticks on down. This really is desperation hour for O2 now.
Man, O1 has so often been going for the supports in the backline to be able to start off the fight, but now being able to take out Special at the beginning, O1 swap it up and they go, right, if we can't take out their backline, let's take out their front line as quickly as possible. Yubi goes and gets the stick onto Tractor Kid. Now you've got no one to really contest the point for O2, and it means that someone like Versgod has to try get in there and now do the work. Trace is good at avoiding damage for a little bit, but eventually you're going to get a rocket to the face. O2 doesn't have the ability to sustain, and it just comes through down to a couple of key picks at the beginning of a fight that O1 was able to leverage into a one map advantage, and they're just one away from taking this grand finals.
Yep, this is it, and we're seeing a sort of brawl composition with the Wrecking Ball at the helm here, the Tracer, Sombra, Moira, Lucio coming out, and we did see Light instead of Abs play the Moira for the last control map, and it didn't go all that well for O2. So let's see if Abs fares any better. It's certainly not Versgod who fares very well, as he will go down very early on in this. The DMEC does come through onto IMO, so that's a decent clapback, a good answer from O2, and Yubi falling as well. O2 starting to gain control of this one. Goku hacked and all. He's forced all the way back there as Levitate, in fact, goes for the Resurrect on the back side of the point, but will be trading themselves out for Yubi's life here. It's going to take a small miracle to turn this fight around as Apples get hacked up as well. Special just with the thrusters online there to stop one bonking him off the edge, but the cap, when all is said and done, is in favor of O2.
I think that O2 played that beautifully. They actually sent, I think it was Versgod on the left-hand side as they came out to bait in the side of O1 onto that and chase him. And then they wrapped around. O1 caught actually on the wrong side of the point, meant that they couldn't really get any sort of safe zone. And O2 managed to utilize this. Still the point nearly being flicked over here from O1 at the beginning of this fight.
Yeah, and here we go. The heals just aren't there to keep one up. He falls down, and it really does fall onto the DPS to absolutely pop off in these types of compositions. It's been working for them so far, but with Levitate going down there as well, Yubi, Goku both get a pick, and the mines are lapped in on top, and there's no healing available. With that self-destruct on the point, it clears all the mines away and makes some good space there. Pulse Bomb, though, and one taking out Tractor Kid. Yubi trades himself away, but picks are in favor of O1 as they've already flipped the points as well.
Ooh, that was big. I thought O1 was in a lot of trouble there. Losing their supports early into the fight meant they didn't have the sustain to carry on going, and yet they still managed to burst out enough the other way. Now we're going to be seeing both DPS ultimates coming in from O2. We saw Yubi managing to make utilization of that Pulse Bomb, and Versgod is going to have to do that along with this EMP from the Sombra. One going to go down early.
He dies to the skill orb disaster, and the hack onto the two most vulnerable targets when applied on top, the Wrecking Ball and the Tracer. Yubi makes it away with his life and in fact wins the Tracer 1v1 here. Goku high in the sky, has this barrage ready to go, and now he's forced out that fade from the Moira. He's made space for the Resurrect as well to come through. This barrage could be devastating, indeed it is. It takes out the Moira, who can't fade away in that coalescence. Yubi is taken out, but the Wrecking Ball sent over the side. Tractor, thanks to Goku, takes him down and off the edge here, and O1 holding on to this. This is just so crazy, but it is do or die for O2 now.
Man, we talked about how much of an advantage something like a Pharah has on these maps, and on Shrine like this, what, or at least Sanctum, what a way to use it. Using that Concussion Blast to take out the big HP pool of the Wrecking Ball. Now it's going to be O2 coming in with much less to work with. They don't have that EMP online, and they're going to have to fight through the sound barrier.
Apples with the environmental. Special taking him off the map there is a damn good start for O2 though. Second final blow for him is Yubi and Goku. They try and clap it back as a 4v4 on the point now, and this is when it gets scrappy and chaotic, when the Pharah and the Tracer really thrive and go to work. The Resurrects from Levitate have been so powerful, and here we see the double barrage. He trades his life away, but he's done enough. Surely now is 92% on the point. Yubi finishing off Tractor, surely their only poke to touch now. The Lucio's gonna try his damnedest. The minefield lapped on top though from Apples. All they can do is trigger the overtime, and Cool Boy is traced on down. Abs just about gets on the point, takes a mine to the face and all, and that just buys time for the reinforcements to come back, but they can't touch! The minefield's just too late, and 0-1 proving that they are number one. They take the series, and they are your EMEA Open Division champions.
Oh, that was huge. One going down in the beginning of the fight meant that 0-1 didn't have the sustain that they needed to levitate. Pops that Valkyrie, keeps up all the DPS, and allows Yubi and Goku to rain death from above. And what a way to do it. Fighting it out there, getting a couple of environmentals in the middle, dropping in the barrage to clean up the point. The mines secure that positional advantage. O2 looked like they were actually going to be able to bring this in. Volskaya was a close map. This one, though, the control points always going the way of 0-1. And like you said, with those longer series and that one-game advantage, the 2 control points, it means that 0-1 are able to come through yet again uncontested at the top there. 0-2 so close to being able to come through. Leagues ahead of anyone else in the competition, but meeting up against their rivals and falling short.
Yeah, it really was a 2-horse race, this Open Division. We saw 2 absolute stellar teams make it to the end, which was nice to see. Some fantastic Overwatch happening right at the death there. But when all is said and done, 0-1 looking so very good. They run with such an unorthodox composition as well. They run the Lucio Mercy, which is such low healing. So you really are all in on those team fights. You have to resolve them quickly. Your Tracer or your Pharah needs to find a pick because that's where your resources are. And they did such a good job of doing it. I think Imo and Apples as well on the tank line, they did a fantastic job of facilitating their DPS. And also credit to Levitate with some really clutch resurrects.
Oh yeah, managed to come together, everyone playing their roles to perfection, and you could see it when 0-1 was able to execute their game plan. They used their 2 tanks to create a bit of space, maybe separate off, divide and conquer their opponents, and then you got Goku coming in there. That synergy between Goku, Yubi, and Apples being able to pick off key targets. When they were able to pull off those sort of strategies, they were able to win the fights out pretty cleanly. Still, valiant attempt from O2 to come through. They had some strategies of their own. Kaiser going in with the EMP. I'm Special working wonders on the Roadhog there at the beginning of Route 66, and then still being able to peel around with that Diva. Cool Boy hitting massive sleeps, massive anti-heal grenades on a couple of people, created the opportunities, and that's why the series ended up being so close, as both teams, when executing their strategies, came out on top of the fights. It just happened to be that 0-1 was able to dictate that a little bit more often, especially on their control points, and they've managed to take the series 4-1, 4-2.
4-2, yeah, and I think 0-1 Esports kind of just turned up the tempo a lot more. And again, that's kind of the good part of that Lucio Mercy heal lineup or support lineup, is that you can just rush and go all in. You really, really are all in on those dives, and a lot of the time it's so much to deal with. You've got so many different prongs of attack coming in. You've got the Wrecking Ball with the Tracer, and you've got the Pharaoh over the top, and you've got a Diva if she so chooses to get involved as well in the dive. They can get on top of you, and it's so devastating. I want to shout out as well VerseGod, who was so good on that McCree for a long, long time on Blizzard World, looking so very good as well. But commiserations, O2, but 0-1 Esports are your Open Division EMEA champions. Any closing thoughts, Alt, before we wrap this up?
I'm really glad that both of these teams are going through to Contenders Trials. I must admit, I think they both deserve it. I think they do what they try to so well. I would love to see them be able to bring out a little bit more versatility between their lineups. Of course, they're both very strong one-tricks, and they could run in to some very difficult matches ahead if they are just counted out by a team that's very comfortable playing something. You know, a good Ashe player, a good Widowmaker could make Goku's life a living hell. But at this stage, considering that they know what their team lineup is, I like to see that. I would much rather see a team with one good strategy that knows what they're trying to do and execute well than teams that just try and force meta comps and then don't play it to their full effectiveness. I'm glad to see these two managing to go through. It is going to be interesting to see how they go through. Of course, we have seen 0-1 be in trials twice before, not managing to push too far ahead, but maybe they've polished things up and looking like a very, very strong team.
Yep, well, both of these teams do advance to Contenders Trials, but 0-1 Esports walking away with the bragging rights and a little bit of extra pocket money after winning the championship entirely. That's going to do it from us here, however. Thank you so much for joining us for this final. It's been absolutely wonderful. I've been Sim Babel, joined here by Altruism, absolutely killing it on the mic. And we've got behind us the wonderful Myth. We've got Demons as well on the OBS. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good day, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers, guys.